This is TrojanVision One-on-One. Today's special guest is a Fulbright scholar from China, Professor Farong Zhu. And your host, Fulbright scholar and Troy University Professor of English, Dr. Priya Menon.
Hello and welcome to this edition of One-on-One. I am Priya Menon and my guest today is Farong Zhu. She's a professor of English at Shandong Agricultural University in China and a most recent recipient of the prestigious Fulbright Scholar Grant to City College or City University of New York. She has taught English and American literature for 14 years at her home university and is especially interested in writers like Thoreau, Hemingway, and Fitzgerald. Her Fulbright research project is focused on the writings of Zelda Fitzgerald, whose 1932 novel, Save Me the Walls, she translated to Chinese just last year. As Alabama's International University, we are very excited to have Fulbright scholar from China, Professor Farong Zhu, with us at Troy today. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm highly honored to come here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's begin by talking a little bit about your Fulbright project. How did you feel when you received news that you were indeed a Fulbright winner?
Wildly happy. Yeah, wildly happy. Fulbright is a really international, prominent project, I think. And every scholar wished they had a chance to apply for this project. Yeah. And it took me a whole year to go through the application. Yeah, from the 2016 springtime and to the December.
Okay.
Got the final.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you began your application process in 2015? Or 2016? 16,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
And
yes.
you got news only in end 2016?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
That's a long process.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But it deserves. It's
Course,
worthwhile.
Of course, it's worthwhile. I remember seeing an email in my inbox telling me that I had been chosen to receive a Fulbright grant and being so overwhelmed with emotion that I really didn't know how to react. So I was curious as to how you felt as well. But moving on, can you tell us a little bit about your project, your Fulbright project? I know that you have just translated a difficult work by Zelda Fitzgerald. In fact, you were at the Zelda Fitzgerald Museum yesterday in Montgomery giving a talk. But what are you trying to accomplish during this Fulbright project here in the U.S.?
Yes, I really want to talk about Zelda. As soon as I arrived in New York, many people asked me about Chinese culture, Chinese tradition, and Zelda. My project is Zelda's own literature.
Okay.
In China, Fitzgerald and Hemingway, or the Lost Generation, was really had a large readership. From 1933 till now.
Okay.
And I think Zelda is very special. It's very special. And she also, I think in many aspects, tells the true situation about women. On the one hand, you are a wife and you are a mother, and on the other hand, you want to express yourself and you want to establish something. And so Zelda's story touched me a lot, and I wish she could write more books. So when I choose this topic, my friends suggested me that maybe you choose something bigger, and because this is a very big project, and if you just focus on just a controversial writer, maybe. It's a risk for you, to losing the opportunity.
Right.
But I think it is a good point for me to observe the 1920s, the flapper generation. Yeah, if we want to, we always hear lost generation, but we seldom heard flapper generation. I think not. There are many, many women writers and artists during 1920s. So I think Zelda is just a representative. I hope I can go further and translate all her writings, the collection, her writing collection, and then I'll go further to find the other female writers similar to Zelda. Maybe they are forgotten. I want to discover again.
Wonderful, wonderful. And you know, talking about translation, perhaps one of the most intimate ways of reading a book is to do a translation. It is not an easy process. You need extreme amount of care and attention to be able to convey the tone, the mood, the atmosphere into your own language. Can you talk to us a little bit about how you prepared yourself in terms of translating this difficult book, and how did you successfully do so?
I think I'm fortunate because in China there's another female writer just similar to Zelda's writing style, I'm sure. Yeah, and she is Eileen Zhang, and she studied in Hong Kong and for many years, and she established as a very successful writer in China. And in 1950, she went to the US and worked in Berkeley. And she published English novels, both Chinese novels. In order to establish establish the connection between Eileen Zhang and Zelda, since they had so many in common, I read Eileen Zhang's collections again, and then I'm familiar with their language patterns about rich metaphors, and they love the colors because both of them had tried to paint. So they had good things about the color and about the smell and about the food and about music. In both writings you can find. So I think this is a true help. And besides that, I also read biographies written by the others about Zelda, and also read Fitzgerald's writings. I tried to reestablish the atmosphere in 1920s.
Wonderful, wonderful. So you found the similarity between these two writers, and one fed into another, and you were able to make that connection and put it in your books. So you translated something from English to Chinese. I'm curious whether in future you have any projects where you plan to translate something from Chinese into English. Do you have any projects in mind, or are you currently doing something like that?
Yes, I think is on the one hand is a challenge. It pushed me to work hard and to learn more. On the other hand, I think is my duty. Since I learned English for many years, and I have to introduce some Chinese classics into English word. And since I work in agriculture university, I had planned to translate some Chinese agriculture classics into English. You know, in the ancient time, Chinese agriculture is quite advanced. Well developed, and maybe till today in the 21st century we still can learn something from the old ways. And at the same time, I also want to introduce some our national mountain tie.
And that is the city that you come from.
Yes. I love my city.
Can you tell us a little more about the city that you come from? It's a city in the middle of the continent or the country China. And you and I were talking about this on our drive back from Montgomery today. And you told me as to how much you miss it. And although you're enjoying this this Fulbright tenure, you find similarities between your hometown and your stay here. But can you tell us a little more about your
the level two?
Yes.
The level two. You know, before I come to Alabama, I really Googled something. Okay? You know, from the geography, and Shandong is a little north to Alabama. Maybe Alabama is in the south, a real south of America. Yeah,
yes.
And in Alabama, you find cotton fields.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In my hometown, there's a lot of cotton fields. Yeah. So I love it. I took a lot of pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. Shandong province is just in the east coast.
Okay.
East coast. Yeah. And very close to Japan and to South Korea. Okay. And it belongs to east of China, but I think it's the middle. Okay, not too north, not too south.
Okay.
So just like Shandong people, the characters always mild, never go radical. And this is also, my hometown is also a hometown of Confucius.
I see.
We are proud of,
Okay.
And Confucius was born in Shandong, was in a very small city, it's called Qufu.
Okay.
You know, in Qufu there's Normal University, Qufu Normal University. I graduated there. I got my bachelor degree there.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
and I also married there. You know, my mother-in-law comes from Confucius family.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, yes.
That's such an honor. I mean, we teach, you know, in our world literature courses here, we teach Confucius and Confucianism. And you are going to give a talk, a public lecture today at Troy University on this topic.
I did this analects.
Okay.
You know,
yes.
Analects.
Yes.
Yeah.
We teach
confusion,
analects in our
yes,
classes.
yes.
And is this something done by you?
No, just the original.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Chinese.
Okay. The Chinese version of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, if you visited the Qufu, and if you could recite at least 30 lines from the analects, you are free. Yes, you are entitled to visit anywhere you,
Okay.
Yes.
So it's a free visitation if you know.
If you could recite and explain at least 30 lines.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
What is your favorite line from it?
Oh my, there are many.
Many?
Yeah, many. You know, I tried to teach my son to recite the whole book.
Yes.
You know, because he was born in Qufu.
Right.
And his grandmother was from Confucius family.
Yes.
Yes. He could recite half of the book.
Half of it?
Yes.
Is
half
he
of the
still
book.
preparing? Is he still working on it? Are you still on his case that he needs to?
Yeah, when he went to college, and I inserted the 2 volumes of intellect into his baggage.
Hoping to.
And Tai'an,
yes.
Because my husband served in the Air Force.
Yes.
So when my son was 3 years old, I asked him to come back from the army.
Yes.
So we changed my job from Qufu to Tai'an.
I see.
Because Qufu Teachers University or Qufu Normal University only accepted the staff with a doctoral degree.
I see.
Of course, my husband had no doctoral degree.
Yes.
He just graduated from Air Academy.
Okay.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
But I love Tai'an.
Okay.
And they are close. They're only 40 minutes drive.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experiences at City College in New York, and how has it been, not just in terms of your move from this place in China to a big city, but in terms of getting used to the teaching environment there and the academic setting? Perhaps there are similarities or differences. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I love to. You know, usually people will tell me, oh, you will meet a culture shock. But I don't think I have met any culture shock. Maybe I have read a lot about New York.
New York,
yeah.
Yes.
It is an exciting city.
Of course.
Why I choose New York City? Because the Fitzgeralds got married there and lived there for many years.
Okay.
And Fitzgerald also conceived the idea for Great Gatsby in Long Island.
Okay.
Yeah. After I arrived in New York, I immediately visited Long Island, their old house.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
And about City College, I think is a great city.
Okay.
The buildings are marvelous.
Okay.
And their teaching, I think, is quite different from Chinese university. Yeah. I choose to visit 2 classes from Professor Visa.
Okay.
One is Made Eastern autobiography. The other is Baroque and Neo Baroque. One is for postgraduate. One is for undergraduate.
Okay.
I learned a lot.
You learned a lot.
Usually the professor just write some names, the students' name, who are going to report and to share their ideas. Usually 4 or 5 students, and then he would explain some important terms on the blackboard. Okay, they seldom use the PPT presentation. Okay, even though they have a big screen. Okay?
That's true.
And even they have no forum and there are no tables, they just have chairs. Okay, but in China, many things are fixed. We have a big electronic box. Okay, and we have also a high table on the forum, okay? And the students' chairs also fixed to the floor.
I see.
Yeah. And the students in City College very active, very active. They first report what they read and what they think, and they share ideas, okay? And then the professors also did a lot, you know. Almost every week we would receive the professor's email and to make a comment who did well in the class and who will do the next week, and what additional material you should read, you should cover this weekend. Okay, yeah. I think when I come back to China, I try to encourage my students to share their ideas, to ask more questions. But maybe it's a tradition, I think. In China, you know, we are always told by Confucius that please do not argue with your teacher.
Right.
Yeah, just do what you think is right. Just do what you think the teacher told you. Okay, it's a tradition. But I think the new generation started to change. Yeah, they. I think they speak more than the older generation. Okay, yeah, they have more to share, more active in their mind. Okay, yeah.
Striking a good balance is a good thing, right? So to not overly argue with your teacher, yet to express your opinion would be.
Yeah, if you always want to argue and you have no time to think deeply.
Yes.
Yeah, sometimes we keep quiet and look inside our heart and try to find something the most essential, just like Thoreau lives in solitude and he thinks a lot.
Right.
Yes?
That's true.
So I think you are right. We have to keep the balance. Okay. Yeah.
Now to go back to your Fulbright project, so you have been in this country for nearly 6 months now, or 2.
Almost 3 months.
Almost
I arrived
3
in
months.
August. Yes.
You arrived in August. How long are you going to be here? And what are some of the plans that you have made in terms of travel within this country? Do you have plans to just visit, probably important destinations that you have told yourself that you must do when you're in the United States? Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Oh, yes. Okay. You know, the grant is lasts 10 months, but I'm allowed to stay 2 months more. That's to say, I plan to go back to China in August.
Okay.
That's the whole year.
Oh, yes.
I want to take advantage of the allowance. Yeah. And there are many places I want to visit. Yeah. The New England.
Yes.
And the South.
Yes.
And also the West Coast.
Yes.
Especially the hometown of Zelda.
Yes.
Yes. I'm highly honored to have the chance to visit here. Yeah.
And you visited the museum yesterday.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your experience? Here you are. You have been so closely acquainted with this writer because you have translated her book, and to be at her home. You told me that you were privy to, some of her personal paintings and writings yesterday.
Yes,
Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yes, I think this trip, I think is unforgettable. Very, very exciting, First, when I arrived Birmingham, and I didn't expect I could have honor to live in the museum, Fitzgerald. Okay, and in Birmingham, I lived with Stacy and Ashley. They also took me around a lot and they invited me to have Southern food. I love it. I love them. Okay, and Ashley drove me to the museum, and I was told when I was told that, oh, you just live here. When Mr. Professor Kirk told me, oh, you live in museum. I couldn't believe. I cannot believe I have the honor to live here, to came so close to Zelda and Fitzgerald. Okay, so I was showed. Sarah showed me around the museum, and I really valued. I think they did a lot, contributed a great lot to Zelda and Fitzgerald. Okay, there are many, there are different versions of Fitzgerald's works, and but I'm happy. Zelda's my Chinese translation is the first copy.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
To Zelda's translation. Okay,
Wonderful.
And I also brought a Japanese version to the museum.
I see.
And I also find many Zelda's original paintings.
I see.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Even though I read a lot from the internet. These special.
Yeah.
They are special. Yeah.
Now, scholars of Fitzgerald studies say that there is an increasing amount of curiosity and popularity of writers like Fitzgerald and Hemingway in Asian countries, particularly in China. Could you comment on that?
I think it's because Chinese people always want to know something about the outside world, and Chinese people also value high the history. And I think Fitzgerald's writing faithfully recorded what happened in 1920s, 1930s. So reading his novels and just like reading history, I think we Chinese people got both kinds of pleasure. One is literary and one is history. So I think why the Fitzgeralds are so welcome. And my Chinese translation and the publisher published 5,000 copies, but now there are only 500
left.
Yes.
Wonderful.
No, almost 1 year. I think many people enjoy it. Yeah, Zelda's story, and also maybe it's also a nostalgic. A new 20s era is coming.
That's true.
And maybe we want to make sure what happened 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also
There's nostalgia.
Yeah, nostalgia
attached to it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Now, when you go back to China after this, you have your research material with you. You've done your legwork for this particular project. Do you anticipate continuing in Zelda studies?
Definitely continue.
Continue with this?
Yeah.
Okay.
There always you can find the new materials and the new books. Before I came to America, I read many books about Fitzgerald. But in New York, I found a new release of his biography published in this year.
I see.
And yesterday, when I got lost in Rosa Parks library, I happened to find a bookstore.
Okay.
It's a happy lost. And I bought 2 books. One is Zelda's biography, and one is about Fitzgerald, their invented life. Yeah, so I think always you cannot stop because there are always something new and makes you give you inspiration and make you to go further.
Definitely. Will you get a chance to teach Zelda at your university perhaps in a course? Yes.
Yeah. When I recently I had added Zelda into my teaching syllabus.
Okay.
Yeah, I asked my. Before that, we just read Great Gatsby, maybe one chapter from Great Gatsby, and then from maybe last year, I added my. Told my students to read Sing with Was.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, they love it. Okay.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, you know, to come back to this Fulbright experience, of course, your research is important to you and you've got that done. But Fulbright is also about, you know, moving away from home, experiencing a new culture, taking something new and unique with you back to your home country. When you look back on this experience, I know you are still in the middle of it, but what do you anticipate once you go back? What are some of the things that you're going to miss probably about living in United States, and what are you going to carry back with you in that emotional bag that you're going to that you're going to take away with you from the United States?
Oh yes, I think a lot.
Okay.
I will take a lot with me.
Okay.
First, I'll finish my book and about Zelda, and I'll maybe have a new understanding and a deeper understanding about flapper generation and lost generation. Okay. And at the same time, maybe my classroom will have a big change. Okay. Yes, and I will. You know, this is a culture. I think this is a cultural bridge between the different cultures. Yes, I encountered not only American scholars. I also know the scholars from the other countries. And from India, and from South Africa, and from Danish. You know, there's a Danish scholar. Okay. Yeah.
And I think that's a beauty of the Fulbright program. You know, you get to meet so many people from so many different parts of the world.
Yes.
That you find similarities that you never thought existed with them. Right? So it's such a wonderful experience.
Yes, wonderful. Yeah.
We're so excited that you were able to join us here in Troy. We wish you the very best, and hopefully you will come back. Especially because of your passion for Zelda, and visit us here at Troy University. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It's my honor. I really enjoy. Thank you. I appreciate it.